I did something so terrible last week that I'm in danger of losing my homeschool mom card. Hey mom, so welcome to the Life Unboxed podcast, where we talk about all things momtrepreneur. I'm Jody, the mom from Life Unboxed. And yes, I'm going to tell you that dangerous thing that I did that almost caused me to lose my homeschool mom card. But first, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. Thank you for watching. I am a homeschool mom of 6, and I have been successfully running my virtual assistant business and homeschooling my kids since before it was really cool to do. So what is that terrible thing? Oh, I forgot to say, grab your coffee. Let's have a chat. So what is that terrible thing that's going to cause me to lose my homeschool mom card? I looked at private school tuition last week because I was done. And right now I'm homeschooling 5 of my 6 kids, but all 6 kids are home, obviously. And so my youngest is 3 and my second youngest is just in kindergarten. So I was telling myself, I'm not doing this with them. They're going to go to private school and I'm done. Okay, so I did text that to my husband, and he didn't respond and told me later, yeah, you noticed I just didn't respond to you, right? No, I want to talk about how to handle homeschool mom burnout, because if you're new to homeschooling or relatively new, you've just been doing it the past 2 or 3 years, you may be thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible mom. What's wrong with me for thinking these things or having these feelings or, what all of those mom guilt things that we can tell ourselves. And if you're a veteran mom, then you know that this is just part of the process you go through every year. And sometimes you just need to be reminded of either why you homeschool or to keep going or anything like that. So yeah, let's talk about homeschool mom burnout because it happens to all of us. So first, I wanted to define it. So this is a coffee chat if you're new to the channel. So basically, it's kind of my unscripted, impromptu conversation with you about something that's been on my mind. And I try to just laser focus on one topic because I do want to keep these relatively short, at least under 20 minutes, if not shorter. And kind of pull back the curtain so that you can see behind the scenes of what life is like as a momtrepreneur and homeschool mom. And to know if this is something you either want to venture into, you've already ventured into, you aren't alone in it. And I know when I first started out, it was just I was by myself. I was completely alone. There was nobody else doing what I'm doing. I know now that's changed. And so I just want to give you the benefit of my numerous years of experience as a work from home mom and homeschooling mom. Okay, so let's define burnout. It's mental and emotional reserves are just dried up. Saying to yourself, I just can't do this anymore. Okay, so we all hit this point at various times in our life and with various things. Like after I had my 6th baby, and then, everything happened as far as things shutting down when she was 3 months old. So it was just so many things hitting all at once that I was done with cooking. I was done with all of these things. I literally was telling myself, I just can't do this anymore. But yet they have this expectation to be fed that needs to be met, not the baby, but the older kids. You can't just walk away and say, I can't do this anymore. So you have to figure out how to get over it. And I will say this, so just full transparency, I am just now starting to get over that. So 3 years into all of this, I'm okay, this is the year I'm going to get back into meal planning. I'm going to get back into cooking. healthier meals, all those things. So hopefully your homeschool mom burnout won't last as long as mine did, or the mom burnout part, but it's okay if it does. Just keep figuring out those things that are going to get you past it. One of my things was I had to delegate cooking to some of the kids, more to my husband as well. And so everyone just kind of pitched in and helped. And so that was one of those things. So there wasn't as much on my plate as there had been. So that was just one of those things that really worked for me. Okay, so this is kind of like your homeschool year. You start out in August or September, whenever you start, and you start with the confidence of a 3-year-old wearing a Wonder Woman cape. That's just how you start out. You're excited about something new. Even if your kids aren't, you're excited about learning, all of these things, and it's full of excitement. It's something new. You're excited about the boxes of books you've gotten in the mail, all of those things. So there's so much to add to the start of the new year. And so you're going along, and usually first 3 months are good. Then you hit Thanksgiving to Christmas, and if you do breaks in there, which we do, like, it's kind of nice because you don't have that much school. Everyone's getting excited about the holidays and all of that. And then January hits, and you're trying to get back into your routine, and it's just a little bit harder. And then February rolls around, and it becomes even harder. And then March is looming in front of you, and you are ready to cry and throw in the towel. Because, number one, it could just feel overwhelming at that point. You are tired of cold weather. I know I like the snow. I am not a big fan of summertime weather, but even I am ready for spring by the time March rolls around. And where we live, it could still mean snow. We've had snow in May. So you have like this kind of gloomy month that you're ready for things to change. You're ready for the change of the seasons, and it's just not happening. And so then April rolls around and May rolls around, and you're excited for the end of the year, and you start buying new curriculum. So that excitement for new things, it's like, I know I am the person who starts buying curriculum about April, and I'm like, who cares how this year ends? I'm ready for the next year. So it all happens, and it all happens to all of us. And if you're like, hey, that hasn't happened to me, good for you. But when it does, not if, but when, come back and watch this coffee chat. So I want to ask you 3 questions when it comes to if you're feeling just burned out or blah or whatever it is that you're feeling. And we're not having mom guilt about this, okay? So just put that aside. So 3 questions. Are you trying to do all the things? As homeschool moms, we tend to have this high bar of expectation. And it comes from various places. It comes from places like, I need to prove that homeschooling is the best thing to do, or I need to prove homeschooling is a good alternative to public school or traditional schooling, I'll say. Okay, mom, I was homeschooled, and my generation has already proven that homeschool works just as well or even better than public school. So you don't have to prove that. But in the proving of that, we tend to take on as much as possible because we need to make sure our kids are socialized. We need to make sure they're learning at level. We need to make sure all of these things. So there's so much pressure that we place on ourselves. If that's you, and if you are trying to do all the things that could be contributing to your homeschool mom burnout. Next question. Do you continually ask yourself, am I enough? Because, again, it goes back to proving, like we have to prove homeschool works. But then it comes down to even granular, where it's like, am I enough? Am I good enough to be the one to teach my kids? Am I failing my kids? That also contributes to your homeschool mom burnout. And number 3, are you looking for perfection? Are you looking for your kids to ace their algebra test the first time around? Are you looking for them to be able to have the deepest conversations more than their peers? Are you looking for your first grader to be doing pre-algebra? Are you looking for perfection? All of these things contribute to your homeschool mom burnout. So how to handle it? Number 1, cut, cut, cut. You don't need to do all the things. You don't need to prove that homeschooling works. You don't need to prove that your kids are well-rounded children and can even, because they do that themselves. Like, you would be surprised. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. This past summer, so my oldest son is a junior in high school, and I wanted him to start college classes this year. And so he's now in his second semester, and he's doing great. And I went to one of our local charter schools for him to take the AccuPlacer test. And yeah, I was kind of like, okay, how well he does or how well he doesn't do it's a reflection on me. It's a reflection on all my teaching, all those things that we have. So he went in to take the AccuPlacer test, and he was one of the last ones finished because I told him to slow down and to take his time. So he did. And so I had an opportunity to listen to the feedback for the other students that were in there because I was just sitting in the room. And pretty much none of them passed the AccuPlacer test, like to be college ready. And there was maybe like one girl passed her math but not her English. Another girl passed her English but not her math. So it made me realize that they're doing better than I think they're doing. Because we don't have kind of like those peer groups to compare our kids to or to compare ourselves to, we always assume that we're not doing right by our kids or we're not doing enough. So I say all that to say, you probably are doing more than enough. And if you are burnt out, then you need to cut, and not feel guilty about not doing enough. Number 2, again, this kind of falls back on the start. You are the best teacher for your kids. Whether you feel like you're enough or not, or you don't know enough or not, you are the best teacher for your kids. You are the one that's going to have the most influence on their lives, not a stranger that you send them to for 7 hours a day. They don't know your kids. They don't know them as individually or as well as you do. You are the best teacher for your kids. And if you don't believe that, then you need to write it down and stick it everywhere you look. Stick it on your bathroom mirror. Just say, I am the best teacher for my kids. And number 3, good enough is okay. Because of this need to prove to, whether it's family, to people around, whoever, or to yourself, that homeschooling is as good as or better than homeschooling, we tend to look for perfection. But Mom, I want to free you right now because good enough is okay. Your kids have talents and abilities and strengths. They do not need to master algebra if they're not going to be an engineer. I know, sacrilege. They do not need to master chemistry if that is not the field that they want to go in. I know, if they want to go to college, these things need to be on the high school transcript and have an understanding of them. My kids are taking chemistry. But good enough is okay. Say that to yourself. Good enough is okay. If your kids can read well, that's what I think you should focus on, is if your kids can read well, they will be successful at whatever they do because they know how to learn. So good enough at mastering specific subjects is okay. Make sure they know how to read so they know how to learn. And that is all I have for this coffee chat. Let's get another drink of coffee. So Mom, are you going through some homeschool mom burnout right now? If you are, let me know. Let us know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. And I will see you in the next show.